Welcome to the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. I'm thrilled you're here. My name is Jason Elkins, and in addition to being your host, I'm also a former U.S. Army paratrooper, third-generation commercial hot air balloon pilot, paramotor pilot, ex-Montana fly fishing guide, advanced open water scuba diver, and a full-time nomad that's visited more than 30 countries on 6 continents. As a seasoned adventure travel expert with a passion for creating and sharing meaningful experiences, I'm on a quest to impact the lives of adventure travelers, tour operators they rely on, and the communities that host them. Every week, I bring you exclusive interviews with fascinating adventure tourism experts who have agreed to share their personal stories, favorite destinations, and some invaluable travel insights they've picked up along the way. We'll enjoy a casual conversation, create some connections, and likely share some laughs. It's my hope that by the end of each episode, this big world will feel just a bit smaller. Let's get started, shall we? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. Excited to have each and every one of you back today, and super excited to have my guest here today. My guest is somebody that I met a couple years ago. Actually, before I started the podcast, I was in Bali, and I met my guest there. She was just starting her big voyage. So this conversation has been long overdue. Look forward to catching up. We've got Dorothea Hochleitner. Dorothea, did I say it pretty close to right?
Yes. Sounds good. Thank you.
Dorothea, so happy to have you here. So excited to see you again. I want to jump in and kind of in your own words, just the kind of recap. What are you doing? You're doing something pretty cool, and I'd love to hear it in your words. I've heard it before. I was there kind of when it got started. So in your words, what are you doing with your life the last couple of years?
Good question. When I was 29, after working almost 12 years as a police officer in Vienna, I finally was brave enough to take the leap and to quit my job to do something else than just work. So since then, since April 2023, I travel with the money I saved from working. The first 15 months, I was backpacking through Southeast Asia and India, where we two met just at the beginning of my travels. And then I returned back home for 2 months to reconnect with family and friends, but it didn't last long until the travel bug was there again. But this time, I didn't want to carry the heavy backpack. So I decided to opt for the bicycle, and so I started my bicycle trip last September.
It's pretty cool. And I remember when I met you, we had a conversation about how you kind of wanted to get into maybe creating some videos and doing some stuff kind of on Instagram. I remember you being a little bit reluctant to do that. I remember having a conversation. You said you wanted to maybe do your first video was like how to pack for world travel. So you were going to do a video, like a packing video to show how people pack their bags. And ever since then, I've been watching you all over Instagram, doing crazy, wild things, really putting yourself out there. So for our listeners, if they go on Instagram, it's Doro on the go. And I'm saying that so they can hear it, pronounce it right, and then go find you on Instagram. So Doro on the go. And when we met, I'm pretty sure you told me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you said I'm taking 1 year. I'm going to take a year. Maybe it wasn't a year, but then I kind of got the idea that you were going to go back and kind of reassimilate into normal life and do something a little different. And is it 2 years? It's almost 2.5 years later.
2.5 years,
conversation.
Yes. Yeah, 2.5 years.
Pretty exciting. I want to dig in a little bit into what happened before this that maybe kind of led to what you're doing now. I suspect you've had some time to think about this. As a solo traveler, oftentimes we have time to think about what we're doing and why we're doing it. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to dig into the childhood a little bit.
Okay.
And figure out like what was going on when you were growing up. Were there other people around you doing stuff like this? What was your family life like?
No, actually my first passport I got when I was 15 to join a school trip to another country. So before that, I never traveled, also with my family. I never traveled really to other countries. So for me, this was this big blank space. And I just discovered the world by myself, starting at the age of 29 then.
Okay, so when you got the passport at 15, you said this was for a school trip. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Sometimes school trips just present themselves and you're like, yeah, I guess I'm going. Everybody else is going. Other times we have to work kind of hard to find the opportunity, to create the opportunity. So for you, is this something that you got all excited about? And yeah, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go, or was it just like, everybody else is going? No, I'm just. What did that look like for you?
I think the school trip didn't spark the travel, how you say, didn't spark my curiosity for travel. It was a nice experience,
Where did you
but
go?
to Poland, just a
To
neighbor
Poland.
country.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. So not too terribly
yeah,
far away.
yeah.
Um, were there
If
any
you're looking,
moments? Well, I was going to ask you if there were any moments before that you remembered thinking, I want to travel someday, or I mean, what did you want to do when you were four? You said that trip didn't spark anything, so I guess I could say, what did you want to do when you were 15?
mm, I think I didn't had any plans to travel. I had plans to study and maybe become a doctor and then work, but traveling was not in my focus.
Okay.
If you want to talk about this one experience that started all the traveling, I can share that with you. So
Yeah, yeah,
before,
absolutely. What got it started for you?
yeah. So when I was 28, no wait, let's start this different. In after COVID times, my job already was not feeling so right for me anymore. It was very, yeah, it was many hours that I worked, and I just had the feeling to go to job and go home just for sleeping and then go back to the job. So at one point I felt so miserable that I told my boss, I think about quitting. I want to do something else. And he said, "Oh no, maybe we can figure out something else." And so I made a few phone calls and managed to get into another department. So I talked with my direct boss and said, "Okay, if I switch departments anyways, oh, maybe you can give me a 3 months, a 3 weeks holiday." So for the first time in 12 years, I had 3 weeks holiday. And then I was sitting there thinking, okay, I have 3 weeks now, what to do? So I booked a flight to Panama. Like, I've never been in America before or somewhere outside of Europe. And then I went for a trip by myself, just with hand luggage, to Panama for three
Why
weeks. And
why Panama? I'm just curious. Why? Because it's, I don't know if it's random, but it seems a little random to
it
choose
was
Panama.
very random because there's the whole world and I've never been anywhere. So you have to start somewhere, no?
Uh huh. Yeah.
And one of my coworkers was in Panama with his wife before, and he said, "Oh, it was so fantastic." And I said, "Okay, I want to learn how to surf. I've never been in the ocean before. So let's see." And Panama has it. It has an ocean, and you can surf there. And so I booked a flight to Panama. It was very exciting. And then I saw something completely different. I heard all the tropical birds for the first time. I remember witnessing the waves from the ocean for the first time. And it was just so mind blowing. Oh my God, there's so much more than just working, working, working all the time. And I think since then, I couldn't stop thinking about, okay, maybe there's more out there to explore. And then it,
I have a few questions about that adventure. First of all, how much time did it take? You mentioned that, okay, the boss said you can have 3 week vacation, first vacation in 12 years. How long did it take you from the moment they approved it and you knew you had the vacation coming until you booked the ticket to Panama? How much time did you spend thinking about where am I going to go and am I really going to do it? Was this a super fast decision or did
I
it take some
think
time?
it was 3, 4 days. It was over Christmas, I remember. So yeah, it was all very short notice because they approved, okay, you can go on vacation. And then I had 3 or 4 weeks left until the start of my holiday. So I had to be fast. Yeah. High
All right,
paced.
very cool. Was there anybody else in your life, family, friends, or anybody that you were having this conversation with? Did they think, well, because here's what I guess where I'm going with this is if you really hadn't left Europe, you really hadn't traveled much, and then as a single woman, maybe you tell your family, friends, I'm going off to Panama by myself because I want to learn how to go surfing. I'm just curious what kind of reaction you got from people, or did you even tell anybody?
Yeah, sure. Like my mother is always very chill about all my life decisions. She's very confident in that I know what to do, or at least she doesn't uh, show that she's concerned. She's like, oh yeah, if you decide you can do it. So she always have the confidence and faith in me, which is of course a big support. And yeah, the coworker I mentioned who said Panama is nice. Of course, he was excited for me to go and shared some tips on where to do what. And about other people, I can't remember. It's 3 years ago now, and there happened so
A lot
much
of
in
things have happened
between.
since then, huh? Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Do you remember like when you arrived in, because what I heard you say was when I arrived in Panama, I heard the birds, had the ocean, had all these things. And it sounds like you came to the conclusion that there's so much more to life than, just kind of doing the grind, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, how long into this did you decide during this trip that you were going to do a major life change? Was it like already
No,
kind of a done deal, or how did you get from, or what was the 3 weeks like as you were getting closer and closer to returning home? Was the dread starting to build, or what was that like for you?
no, no. This took very long time. Like this travels was in January 2022,
Okay.
and I resigned from my job only 1 year later. So this was just a spark. But I was always very happy to have a plan, to have a stable job that I know what to do until I retire. This was so important for me. So that it took lots of time to admit, okay, maybe this is not what I want to do until the end of my life.
Okay.
And that I not only admit this to myself, but also then find the courage to actually do steps towards how to, I don't know, put my stable life into a box and pause it. Like I had to give away my flat. I quit my job. I sold lots of my belongings. Now everything that is left is in my childhood room with my mother. So there were many steps to do before I actually started traveling more
But
than 1 year later.
when did you make the decision that you were going to
Mm.
do it? Because I hear you saying I had to do a lot of things to make it happen. But was there a moment, maybe on the trip in Panama or shortly after, where you're like, okay, I know what I need to do. I just have to work through it, both emotionally and logistically.
Yeah, this I remember very precise. Like I was at a family gathering with all my cousins. I have lots of cousins, and I haven't seen them in quite some time. So everyone asks you, "Yeah, how you doing? What are you doing?" So I repeated to each and one of them, like, "Yeah, I just changed departments." But still, this doesn't feel right to me. I would like to have just 1 year for myself to take a break from my job. So I said this 20 times this day. And when I came home, I sat down in a chair and I felt like the tension inside me and I was like shaking almost and thought, okay, I will sit down now. I will feel that. I will not take my phone and doom scroll. I will just sit down and really feel this. And then I thought, okay, if I really want to take 1 year for myself, why I don't just do it? Like, why? What's holding me back? And then this was the moment I decided, okay, I will quit my job. I will take a break and I will take time for myself. And immediately I felt so much lighter, like all this weight came off. And so even after a few days, this didn't change. And I knew, okay, it's going to be right. If the feeling still is good. And then slowly, I am someone who likes to prepare and plan a lot. So this was August 2022. And then in 2023 in spring, I started my journey.
Okay, so there's a few interesting things there. Kind of what I heard you say was I went to this get together and I just started telling people that I want this time off. I want this. And after you repeated it a bunch of times, I'm curious if you're able to recall, like, when you started that day or the day before, were you really dwelling on it? Or it just, because sometimes what we want just kind of comes out. We don't even, like, it's in the subconscious, but it's just there. We ignore it. We doom scroll. We do whatever we need to do to avoid our discomfort. And kind of what I heard you say was like, I just opened my mouth and the words just came out and they just kept coming out. And then I'm wondering at the end of the day, did you feel like, oh my gosh, I just told 20 people that I'm going to do this? Did it feel like pressure that now I need to do something?
No.
Okay.
Like I had the feeling for, as I told you, even before the Panama trip, I had the feeling that I wanted some time off and a break for myself for a long time already. But verbalizing it, I think 20
Yeah.
times this day, just really made me question, okay, if I really want it, why I don't just do it? So when I sat down after this family gathering in the evening, then I finally took myself serious enough to say, okay, why don't I just do it? If I want it, why I don't do it?
I love that. And, it's interesting because I heard you say a few times, I like to work things out. I like to kind of plan ahead and move slowly. Even kind of heard you say, it took me a while. But I think a lot of our listeners, myself included, um, it's like, yeah, you didn't actually take that long. There's an awful lot of people that talk about doing something like what you've done that take years to do it. They might start
Mm.
talking about it or thinking about it when they're in their 30s. And then when they're in their 50s, they're like, I really want to do this. Well, maybe when the kids go to school. Okay. And then it turns into, okay, maybe when the kids graduate college. And then it turns into maybe after we do the kitchen renovation or whatever. And
Yeah.
actually, your turnaround time was pretty short, I think, compared to a lot of people. So kudos to you.
I think it depends on how miserable you feel in your life. This depends, how to say, this makes the speed of your decision.
If the pain is bad enough, then
Yes.
you're probably going to take some sort of action. Um, do you now? I'm sure because I know with me, I mean, you and I'd been traveling a little bit, maybe a year or so before I met you, a year and a half, something like that. And I had a kind of a similar story. I was pretty unhappy where I was, and I sold all my stuff, gave everything away, bought a one-way ticket, and started my journey. And there's things that came up that were kind of surprises. I kind of thought, oh, when I start doing this, everything's going to get easier, and yada yada yada. And then there's a few things that kind of caught me by surprise. I'm curious, is there anything in particular that caught you by surprise, or if you were speaking with a friend or family member that's thinking about doing the same thing, are there any cautionary notes you would give them to discourage them from doing it, or things that you feel like they should at least take into account that you maybe didn't?
Let me think a moment about this question. Just if you go to another country, you can still feel miserable. Like it's not the solution to all of your problems. But to me, it actually was very life changing. Like for me, I didn't struggle so much with myself. It was really the too many hours I worked, and that I felt even like physical health issues from the shift work, from all the hours. So when I stopped this and had a more regular sleeping schedule and was more relaxed, not under so much tension all the time, I felt how so many problems disappeared. So for me, I think there were not so many major drawbacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious because I think some people, not speaking for everybody, I'm not definitely not speaking for you when you were working those kind of long hours and those shifts, but sometimes we naturally seek things to kind of distract us, preoccupy us. You mentioned doom scrolling as one that some people do. I definitely do sometimes. And another one that's pretty common actually is work. People will get so absorbed in their work that the rest of the things that they maybe should be dealing with, or just things within them, kind of get repressed because it's all they're thinking about is I got to get up, go to work,
Mm.
do the grind, come home, go to sleep. So when we change those things and we remove that distraction, it can kind of open up the world to, oh, now I either use travel to avoid those things, because there's obviously a lot of people that do that, um, or I get an opportunity. I love that you said sit in it, like sit in my discomfort and figure out, well, what does this all mean?
Mm.
Not really sure where I'm going with this other than when your work schedule freed up and all of a sudden you didn't have that quote unquote stress, do you feel like you were able to kind of focus more on who you are as a person and work on yourself, or did that come up for you? I'm not saying it needed to. I was just curious if it came up for you, because it definitely came up for me.
Yeah, yeah. I remember quite well. Like you say, before the work and the job keeps you occupied. And then I remember I started in Indonesia, in Bali, and then in Lombok with some surf camps. So you're also occupied. You have a schedule. And after this surf camp, I remember everyone in the hostel was going to surf again, like the next day. And I was sitting there thinking, do I actually want to go surfing today? Or is this just what everyone expects from you? Okay, you're here in
Ah,
this beautiful location. Of course, you have to go surfing. And I remember just staying in the hostel and enjoying the garden this day and thinking about this. Okay, is this just another thing to fulfill? Another like,
kind of
okay,
a
now I'm a
distraction,
traveler.
right?
Now I'm a surfer. I need to go surfing every day, or who am I and what I actually want to do? And do I crave maybe rest more? So for me, this was very interesting because in the beginning, it was very hard for me to feel what do I want, what do I need, and this intuition and like gut feeling just developed over the time while traveling. And now
Mm-hmm.
it's very strong. If nowadays someone asks me, you want to go there, you want to do this, what do you want to do? I'm very fast with my decision because I just feel in my gut. So this
I
is
love
also a big advantage of traveling solo. You have to make decisions every day. What you're gonna eat, where you're gonna stay, where to take a break. So you become naturally good at this.
that's it's very interesting that you mentioned it that way, because I can relate to that. There's definitely, when you're quote unquote back home doing, and you've got a normal job, employer, family, stuff like that, it's very, very easy to fall into the I'm doing this because I'm expected to do this. It's an identity thing, right? We tend to, our brain is pretty good at trying to align what we're doing with our identity. And if our identity is I'm a daughter, I might behave one way. If my identity is I'm a cop, I might behave one way, or whatever it is. And then when you get all excited, again, I'm not speaking of you, but when I got all excited about, oh, I'm going to go be a nomad, I'm going to be a digital nomad, that identity actually became quite important. And I remember, well, this is what digital nomads do. So therefore, this is what I should be doing. Kind of like what you said. You're at a surf camp at a hostel around a bunch of surfers. I should be doing this. And it took me quite a while to realize, actually, as a nomad, as somebody that's traveling solo, I kind of actually get to make my own decisions.
You can do
And
everything
that's
you
a lot
want.
of
Yeah.
pressure. That could be a lot of pressure because now it's like, okay, do I want to go work? Just simple ones like, am I going to go work at the Starbucks today, or am I going to go to the mall? Am I going to go to a co-working place, or am I just going to screw off all day and go do something else? And almost every day is kind of like, okay, I get to make decisions. There's nobody here watching over my shoulder. As long as I'm keeping my clients happy, then I have a lot of freedom.
Hmm.
Um, but then there are those moments, there's those days where you're like, oh, I'm not really sure what to do today, and why is that? And you start analyzing things, and I don't know where to go with that other than it's an interesting thing that comes up when you're traveling. Do you remember the first time you felt homesick, or did you ever feel homesick? Maybe it hasn't come up for you. It's come up for me.
I definitely felt homesick when I was sick abroad, like when I had
Uh,
travel diarrhea, which I almost faced in every country. Like then you are laying there in bed almost dead and think, oh, I want to be at home, and like I want to eat my familiar food and my comfort food. So this also led to my first travel break, where I returned home after 15 months of backpacking. I then went home for the summer for 2 months because I was laying in India like with really bad belly issues, and I was just dreaming about sausage and like all the good food from home, not spicy. And then I booked a flight, and 2 weeks later I was at home.
uh, but that's kind of cool too, because you've got that ability of spontaneity of like, if you took,
It
here's the
was
thing,
not
if you,
so easy actually, because my ego told me, "Ah, but you are a
yeah, there's that.
traveler." But then I was like, it's my travels, it's my life. I can do whatever I want. So if I want to take a break from traveling, who is there to judge? Oh, you are not traveling in a row for such a long time. And yeah,
I
it
think
just
that's a
really helped.
really, really good point that a lot of people that kind of sell all their stuff, move out of their place, they tell their friends and family, I'm going to go travel the world. And
Mm.
like, and if they say, well, when are you coming back? If you say, I'm never coming back, or if you say, I'm going to go at least a year, I'm going to go 5 years, whatever, you kind of you can pigeonhole yourself into that, to like what you say is like, now the identity becomes, no, I'm a traveler. And here's, I guess, where I'm going with this is, if my identity is I'm a world traveler, I'm comfortable being anywhere by myself, I don't need the creature comforts of home, I don't need my parents, I don't need my friends, I'm going to go do this. Then when you start to feel homesick and you miss those things, sometimes you'll push through it. You're like, no, I don't want to admit that I miss people. I don't want to admit that I kind of want to go home. So sometimes we just push through it and just keep going because, I don't know. Do you think it's like maybe like I think you said is, if I go home, then I got to question myself. If I come home because I want to come home, then I question my identity. Was that what you had?
No, I think it's very important to not stick to any labels or
Yeah.
ideas that you have of yourself, but to just follow your gut feeling. Otherwise, you feel miserable. It's the
Yep.
same when people tell you, oh, you have to go there. It's so good there. It's my favorite country. But if you don't feel it and you follow their advice, you will feel miserable there. I had this also once. And, you have to just make decisions that align with your
Oh,
values
yeah.
and your gut feeling. It was the same during my bicycle trip. I said, I want to cycle to India. So this puts a lot of pressure on, because there is not only the easy and beautiful countries, but also after Georgia, you either have to cross Russia or Iran. And when I came to Georgia, I didn't feel comfortable crossing either of these countries. So then I decided again to take a flight. And if I take a flight, I can also fly home first and then fly to India. And of course, you can say, oh, I failed cycling to India. But I don't feel like failing. It's my journey, and I made it like according to my feeling, and it turned out so beautiful. And I'm so happy that now I flew to India and made a loop through the Himalayas. This is so much more. This turned out so much more beautiful than cycling through all the desert that comes after Russia. Like, yeah, I would have arrived here in winter, then would not have been able to cycle through the mountains. So I made a decision and it turned out beautiful.
I think that's great. And that is the point, is don't try really hard not to um, settle or to label. I think you use the word label, or to
Mm-hmm.
identify like, okay, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Because here's the thing. It's, if you say, I'm going to ride my bicycle from Austria to India, was that the plan? Did you start in Austria?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, yes.
So if you say, I'm going to ride from Austria to India, and it's going to take me a year and a half, 2 years, however long, whatever that looks like, I don't know. But it's really not that much different than getting stuck in a job, because somebody can,
Yes.
because somebody can say, well, my identity is my job. I am, I'm going to be a VP or a CEO of a company, and that becomes their identity. So they start, or whatever level they start at, and they just keep focused on becoming a CEO. So they stay in a job that maybe they hate, is miserable, impacts their relationships, because they're so focused on that label that they want to get to, that once they become CEO, they, I don't know, are they any happier or not? Where if you can let go of that expectation of what other people expect of me, and just say, you know what, I'm this is not fulfilling me. This is not helping me get where I want to be as a person, and just make choices on your own, right?
Yeah, I think rather finding labels that include something outside, like I'm a traveler, I'm a CEO. I rather try to stick to labels like, okay, I want to be compassionate, I want to be free, I want to be wild.
Mm-hmm.
And with this label, you can still take a flight, or you can cycle, or you can carve your journey however you want to.
It can be a challenge in typical society, I guess, to do that, because I suspect you've run into it. I've definitely run into, you know, where are you from? Why are you here? Where's your family? You're here by yourself? And just most of the people I run into just have a really hard time, kind of, they want to almost label you. Are you here for business? Or if you're here for pleasure, why are you here for pleasure? It creates a lot of questions for people that don't do it. You've experienced that, haven't you?
Every day. Like here
Yeah,
in India, everyone is very casual. Are you married? I get asked 5 times a day. Are you alone? Like even the question about religion, it's very casual here. People are very upfront with
I've heard
everything. They
that.
want to know
Yeah.
everything. I got used to it, and I have no problem um, just being my weird self as I am, and sometimes also irritate people with it. But I also found that I can inspire some people by it. For example, cycling through the Himalayan mountains from Chandigarh near Delhi to Leh, I joined a 10-day meditation course. And there on the last day, when the silence is over, you start speaking with other people. And so I came there with my bicycle, and then other women saw my bicycle and they were like, what? You're here with your bicycle? And some of them were so inspired and they said, "Can I try your bicycle?" And then they were driving around the area and were smiling at me and saying, "Wow, now that I see you on the bicycle, I also want to do this and I'm inspired. I didn't know it's possible, but I want to also travel by myself." So I think you can irritate some people, but you can also inspire some people. And this is what I aim for. I want to especially inspire other women to see you can take space, you can be
Hmm.
on yourself. You don't have to depend on your family or a man. You can enjoy your life. And of course, it has its limitations. I am in a very privileged country. I grew up. I have a passport that allows me to travel, and I'm aware of this that okay, I go now to Himalayan mountains and meet locals. They don't have the same opportunities, but still they can get some inspiration and apply to their life, I hope.
That's a good point you bring up, and I think I missed it when we were discussing how you got started, why you got started with your travels. We didn't really discuss that other than your trip to Panama that helped kind of get the juices flowing. Do you remember any particular influencers or people you were following or friends that you had that inspired you in that way? Did you have that when before you started traveling? Because now you're doing
I,
it for other people, so I'm curious if you had that.
I guess Instagram showing me all this solo travel content and like beautiful pieces of the world helps. I can't really recall creator in particular.
Okay.
For bike packing, for continuing my journey on bicycle, there is one German guy who just also quit his life at home and started traveling and was cycling around the world for 3 years. The great Hans, and he made quite cool content, and this inspired me a bit for bikepacking then, so I want to give credits to him as well. But yeah, no, for the initial travels I can't recall.
Okay. Because it's I I I think I mean I definitely think you're inspiring people. I see your Instagram and I see some of the comments and some of the posts and it's I mean honestly you inspire me because I met you just really started this and every time I see one of your posts you're hanging out of a train over a bridge somewhere or you're doing something that's just really cool and I I don't know why I wanted to ask you this and maybe backtracking a little bit, but have you found yourself in places like, man, I really want to go here, and then you get there and you realize, and it takes you a while to realize, oh, okay, I really wanted to be here. I sold it. I got so excited about it in my head that when I got there, it didn't really live up to the expectations, and you kind of felt yourself sticking around a little longer than you would just because you talked it up so much in your head. If it, do you know what I mean by that with that
Mm,
question?
mm, Normally I don't do too much research about the place, so I don't have so much
That's cool.
expectations.
That's a good idea.
But as I mentioned before, I once followed the advice that everyone gave me when I was in Malaysia. Everyone said, "Oh, you also have to go to Borneo, to the Malaysian part, cheap flights, and it's so beautiful." But as I said, I didn't really feel the calling myself, but I followed this advice. Never ever since then I did it once again to follow advice that I don't feel. Because when I arrived there, of course, underwater it was very beautiful for diving, but the land and all the people, they were so poor and it was so heartbreaking to see that I cried because I felt so sorry for the small children begging for the rest of your breakfast and everything. So yeah, this time I didn't really enjoy it, and then I tried to leave. But what was your question again? Sorry.
No, no, I hear what you're saying. It was just about like sometimes get an idea in your head, you want to go somewhere, or maybe somebody else
Mm.
plants that idea in your head. A good example, like that's a great example. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go here. It's great, whatever. And then you go there and you're like, I'm not really sure what it
Yeah.
is that, I mean, every place is
Yeah.
great in its own way, but here's the thing is we're all our individual selves. And
Mm.
you might tell me, Jason, you need to go to such and such a place. And I go there and I'm like, okay, it's interesting, but it's not my place. And
Yeah.
example for me is I'm very emotionally attached to Latin America. Every time I go somewhere else, I have a nice time. I see some interesting things, but I just feel different, right? It's just, I
Yeah.
feel really good when I'm in Latin America. When I'm not in Latin America, I tend to miss Latin America. I don't know why that
You
is.
are attached.
There's some level of attachment. I feel like I'm at home there, and I don't want to be in my birth home type of place. Not that I don't want to be there, but so I don't. But I guess where I was going was, I've went to a few places where I overstayed my welcome. I just stayed longer because I was like, I made such an effort to get here. I need to stay for a
Mm.
while, and and that can be a. But I love what you're saying. Like, you don't do a whole lot of research, so you don't have super high expectations, which is probably a lot better way to approach things, I think.
I don't know you. I don't think you have to keep your expectations super low just not to get disappointed. This is not what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah, but for example, many people also unasked within DMs on Instagram say, "Oh, you're here. You have to do this, this, this. You need to see this
Uh,
bucket list." And if I respond to that, I say I don't feel like I have to tick off all the bucket list moments. For example, in Southeast Asia, there's 100 millions of temples you can visit, and sure, they're all beautiful. But at one point, you're just full in seeing
yeah.
all the temples. So I really, how to say, in the beginning I had great FOMO, like, oh, I come to this city, I have to do this. But then nowadays I enjoy, okay, I'm now in Delhi. I don't have to visit Taj Mahal or something else if I don't want to, I'm very okay with doing what I feel to. And if it means I sit in a local tea stall and just watch the people on the street rather than going to any monument or temple, then I'm fine with that. So
Do you
this,
think that part of that is because you've been traveling so long, you've seen so many
yes,
places? Because if you only have a 3 week, presumably some of the people that are reaching out to you on Instagram saying, "Oh, you got to check this and this and this," it's because maybe they don't travel so much and they have
yeah,
a vacation. So when they went there on vacation, they hit the
yeah, yeah,
quote unquote highlights, which define that however you want. So, but after you've been traveling for few years, I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm pretty happy.
mm.
I'm in Bangkok right now. Um, there's some
I'm
pretty
soon
cool
gonna be there.
places. What's that?
I'm soon gonna be there. I
Cool.
have
Well,
to I have to
maybe.
do a visa run after 3 months in India, so I have to leave and I choose Thailand.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, we need to discuss that, and maybe I'll still be here. We can go have a coffee together. But I guess that's my point. Is like I know there's a lot of cool places, cool temples, all these things to go see, but they don't feel that important to me. I'm staying in a residential neighborhood where there's no tourists. There's
Mm.
no menus in English. It's like, and I
I
love it.
feel
I'm
you.
perfectly happy. I don't need to be in a place where they've got the touristy restaurants and all that stuff. But I think it's because I've been traveling so long. Um,
Definitely, definitely.
but it also comes to Instagram. This is a conversation I've had quite a bit with a lot of tour operators that deal with tourists that are on vacation. Is that almost that need that some people have for those Instagram moments, which is kind of what we're talking about, is
Mm.
that Taj Mahal visit, that Eiffel Tower visit, I gotta have a pic. If I'm going to Paris, I have to have a picture of myself with the Eiffel Tower. or
Mhm.
or go to places like Venice or Santorini where I got to get the pictures for my Instagram. And you're doing Instagram, so I don't know. I'm sure you've been to a lot of spots that are very famous Instagram spots, and I'm sure you've been to a lot of spots that very few people see on Instagram. So what are your kind of just general takeaways as far as like when you do go to an Instagram spot? Do you ever like what do you want to share with people that maybe haven't had that experience? Do you have general kind of feelings about that?
I remember when we two met in Bali, we visited one of those famous Instagram spots, one of these waterfalls on Bali.
Mm-hmm.
And there were even the local guys taking professional videos with your phone so that you can post on Instagram. And I found it so hilarious back then. Of course, I posted the video because it looked nice.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you visit places that has not that have not an Instagram picture spot, I think this is way more interesting because there are so many pictures of, I don't know, Eiffel Tower or like the few things. But if you just film or take pictures of daily life now in India here, when I just film a bit of the street, I think people are also very interested in this. Of course, I always try to be respectful and not film people's faces like 1 meter distance. Um, but yeah, I find you can find good content everywhere. You don't have to travel extra to this picture spot and there, but it's also a way of carving your journey. You can ask ChatGPT for all the picture spots in the city and then just make a tour around, and it also works if you're happy with that.
Yeah. What's the longest you've waited in line to take a selfie?
I waited in a line. Oh, I'm not sure.
So, like, if you go to like an example is, I want to go take a picture of myself standing in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I don't know, I've never been there, but I've been to some well known spots where there's kind of a
Yeah.
line. You got to wait around for a while before it's your turn. And then you go up there, take your selfie, or maybe someone
Hmm.
behind you takes your picture of you.
I
I'm just
think
curious.
I think not during these travels now, but when you go to a mountain in Austria and you want a picture on top of the mountain with the cross, then sometimes you have to wait for one or two groups before you and then you take your picture. But I never went to any monument or something and then waited in a line. I rather would take the picture in the line with all the people behind me and the monument and show in the story like, okay, this is how it really is in this
That
place.
that that's a good point, because that I guess is the thing when you wait in a long line to take a picture when nobody's behind you. It, makes it look like, oh, I'm here all by myself. I've got this whole place to myself, but that doesn't really capture the experience. I think, you know, I, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Mm.
Um, I think I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think people listening to this are probably curious because you said I took the money I saved up when I quit my job, took the money I saved up, and maybe you saved up a crap load and you're still going. I don't know. But oftentimes people want to ask the people that are traveling, like, how do you do this? Are you working? They're looking for clues because maybe they want to do it and you're in the business of inspiring people. So what
Mm.
would you tell them?
No, I'm not working or making any money since 2.5 years now. But I live on a tight budget that I'm still comfortable, but I don't, have much comforts. I'd say, just if I feel like, I of course go for it. Um, I'm in the very fortunate position that I had a job that didn't only cover my daily needs, but which allowed me to save. And when I started traveling, and for example, now in India, if I tell someone, yeah, I worked 12 years and now I travel since 2 years and just live from my savings, I feel bad because I know even if people work their ass off here for many
Yeah.
hours per day, they will never be able to save that much money that they can travel for such a long time. So again,
That's the flip
a big
side.
courage. Yeah,
That's the flip side of working your butt off, doing the grind, focusing
yeah.
only on work for quite a while. It can be miserable, and obviously can come along with some benefits as well. But I'm curious. So you've been traveling. You've run into some other people that are working remotely. If you Do you have any advice for somebody that's like, yeah, I didn't save up that much money. I want to go travel. Have you come across opportunities or thoughts or ideas for
Mhm.
how people could, should, would either save money or make money as they're traveling?
Last winter, I was, for example, 3 months in Greece taking a break from cycling because it was too cold for me to cycle through the
Mm-hmm.
winter. So I looked for a place to work and travel. I found on road packers. You can find places, for example, farms or hostels where you can stay and eat for free and you work every day a few hours in exchange. So these opportunities I found really good. I tried this once, but I heard from many other travelers that it's a great opportunity as well because it
What's
also
that website? What's the website called? I didn't quite hear.
world packers, but it's like similar to Workaway or
Okay.
Helpex. I also have a discount code for world packers if someone is interested.
Okay.
Uh,
Send me the
I sent
discount
it.
afterwards, and
Yeah,
I'll put that right into the show notes for
yeah.
anybody that wants to check that
Amazing,
out.
amazing.
But
So
yeah,
yeah, this is you subscribe to this website for 1 year, and then you have access to all the people who needs help. For example, you clean in a hostel or you organize the parties in the hostel and then you can sleep in the hostel and eat for free. I chose a urban farm in Megalopoli in the Peloponnese and stayed there for 3 months, eating the best Greek food and having sunshine throughout the winter. And I did a lot of gardening and cooking and caring for animals, and it was a good time. So I really connected with this group of people. And
and it
this
sounds
is
like in a
a
situation like that, you're not really spending any money.
no,
You know,
you spend money if you go outside to town in the evening for, I don't know, drinking or if you want to buy something. But other than that, costs are covered. So if someone is on a tight budget and has longer time period for free, I can recommend to work in exchange. So every day you do some hours of working, but you still have time to explore the area, to do trips on the weekend or on your days off. So I think this is a good opportunity.
do you do you have any advice around the Instagram stuff? Because there's two things I want to ask you. One is about that. Is you know, any advice for Instagrammers?
I think I could need some advice. I mean, my main problem is that I don't have a clear goal. It's not like, oh, I want to become an Instagram influencer. I want to earn money. I just share out of passion and
Yeah.
when I want to share. It's not that I post every day 2 reels. Sometimes I post every day something and sometimes not, like however I feel like. So I'm not working towards a big, great goal because it would be a lot of work every day. And
Yeah.
I rather want to experience and enjoy my travels as well and
Well,
just do it on a side hustle.
I think I don't know this, but I think a lot of the folks that get caught up in that, I want to be an Instagram influencer. Number one, it can be a ton of work before it has any
It's
payoff.
a lot of work, yes.
But then also, you're kind of beholden to, you start making decisions about your travels or about what you're going to do to try and feed the algorithm. So
Exactly.
if you wake up in the morning, am I going to go for a walk in this place, or am I going to go do that? You start making the choice as well. Which one's going to resonate better on Instagram? Which one's going to get me more likes and this and that and this and that? So then you're not really doing anything different than just a job. or you're just trying to, keep your clients happy or keep your boss happy. So I love that. Um,
Yeah, if I would have thought about this, I could not have cycled through Zanskar Valley in Ladakh because I had no phone connection for multiple days. Or I could
yeah.
not join a 1 month yoga course in February next year where I will give away my phone and just have my phone on Sundays for a few hours, where I will
Hmm.
for sure not open Instagram. So I will take a break for months. And if you're a serious influencer, I think you would not join a 1 month yoga
Yeah.
course where you don't have access to your phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for me, it's more important the journey than the documentation on Instagram.
I want to bring that up because I do want our listeners. What I see, I mean, I know you, so I love it when I see your posts. But yeah, they're definitely not like the typical Instagram or influencer posts. But anybody that's listening to this, I would encourage them to go over and kind of follow your journey because it's super authentic.
Thank
And I
you.
see you in places doing things that you just don't kind of I don't expect sometimes. Let's if you don't. I'm curious because you would when we spoke about coming on and having this conversation, you told me you were going to this retreat, and I don't want to mispronounce. Is it Vipassana retreat? What's it called?
Vipassana meditation course.
V
Vipassana.
Vipassana meditation course.
Mhm.
Um, I remember actually the very first time I heard about that was in Bali when I met you. I had another friend that was going through it, and I learned a little bit about it from her. Not while she was there because that's what we're going to discuss, but I did learn a little bit, and I'd never really heard of it, didn't know anything about it. So, do you mind kind of sharing with the audience kind of what that is and why somebody would want to do it, and
Good question.
just your personal thoughts?
So you start. There's Vipassana meditation centers all over the world, but especially in India, there's many to choose from. So I chose the one in Leh on 3,500 meters surrounded by mountains. Very beautiful location. And you go there, you give away your phone, all your technical gear, your journal, your pen, any outside food. So you check in there just with your clothes and nothing else. And then for 10 days, you are in complete silence without talking, without sign language, without eye contact with the other participants. You still meditate in a room sitting next to each other for 12 hours per day, but you're not communicating. And of course, you get fed well, like you have breakfast after meditating in the morning from starting from 4:30 in the morning, and yeah, you go to bed at 9. And it's a meditation technique which lets you focus on your breath for the first 3 days. So you just observe your breath. And on the fourth day, you start with the Vipassana technique, where you just always observe your sensations in the body without judging them, without saying, oh, it's ticklishing on my left ear, or oh, there's some pain in my right knee. You just observe it. You say, there's some, I don't know, tension in my knee or whatever, but you don't judge anyhow. And this should help you with being more balanced and, yeah, better person in life, like not getting angry about stuff, or also not having too many attachments and feeling miserable when you don't have your cravings fulfilled. So yeah, I'm the
Sounds
wrong
wonderful.
person. I'm the wrong person to really sum it up, as I just started
No,
on
I
this
appreciate that.
journey
Let
myself.
me ask you this
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
understand you're not allowed to speak. The participants are not allowed to speak or communicate or make eye contact. What about the facilitators? Because I'm having a hard time imagining how they're going to lead you through these exercises. The
Mm.
the people that work there walk you through it, talk you through it, or what is that like?
Yeah, so on the first day, they explain everything thoroughly to you. And then you have a teacher that leads, like every day when a new technique is discussed, like he or she brings up. And 1 hour in the evening, you have a video instructions from the teacher himself. So he explains, okay, this is happening, blah, 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 because of that and that. And if you have any queries regarding to the technique, there is 2 time slots a day where you can ask the teacher. And of course, if you need medicine or special food, you can ask someone from there about it. But it's about not communicating unnecessary stuff during these 10 days.
You know, I've heard about this a few times, but there was some sort of study where they put people in a room and no phone, no nothing, just a room. And the only thing in the room was a button. And it was like for 30 minutes or something crazy. They said, look, you can't do anything while you're in here, except if you want, you can push the button. And if you push the button, it's going to give you an electrical shock. And like the majority of, I don't know if it was 30 minutes, maybe I'm exaggerating. I don't know if I'm wrong, whatever. But like the majority of the people would rather push the button and give themselves a painful electrical shock than sit there and just think or to just sit there and not have any sort of distractions or dopamine or anything like that. Had you heard of that, or is this the first time you're hearing about that?
No, I haven't heard of that. But
Okay.
during the Vipassana meditation, you sit long hours, like a lot of hours per day. And you have so much distraction just by your thoughts. So I would have not needed the button to give me pain because I had enough physical pain just from sitting with crossed legs.
So the idea with that, I think that study was people didn't want to have their thoughts. They didn't want to, it was literally just a distract me so I don't think type of thing. Whereas this retreat that you're describing is like you're actively making the decision to go in there and deal with your thoughts and deal with the things that go through your head. And I don't know if deal's the right word, but was this the first time you'd done it?
Yes, but it felt like my 1 month cycling through the Himalayan mountains by myself prepared me quite well because I had many hours every day on my bike by myself, just focusing on how to breathe over this mountain pass and just being with my thoughts. I barely listened to any music. I think maybe 2 or 3 days I put on a motivational song when I was very tired. But other than that, it was really just me and my thoughts, and of course, some interactions with locals sometimes. But yeah, it felt
Would
like I
you
already did the Vipassana before going
been
there.
been there, done that? Is it something you would recommend or suggest to anybody, or do you think it's more of a yeah, it's not for everybody? Anybody listening to this is like, is there anything you can say that's going to help them either, oh, this is something I should look into, or nope, absolutely, that's not for me?
As we discussed before with recommendations, I think Vipassana can be beneficial to anybody, to everybody, but you have to be open, you have to be curious for it, and if
Yeah.
it doesn't resonate with you, then you will not have so much takeaway. And if you are curious and want to go and try
Can you
it.
walk out? Can you walk out after 2 or 3 days, or do they lock you in?
You can leave, but then you can't come back during these 10 days. So you really sign in the beginning that you are putting yourself in there for 10 days. So we had no dropout of the 30 people that I was with. And normally you should really stay and not, of course,
Right.
if something really happens that you need to leave, you can leave. But
Okay. I appreciate you sharing that, because that's something that I didn't really know much about until we discussed a bunch of different things. Probably could keep going, discuss a bunch more. But I'm curious, what did I forget to ask you? What do you wish that I'd asked you? Or what do you want to share with our listeners before we wrap up?
I think for me, the most important thing is that it's really your life. You can do what you want. I understand people have responsibilities. They have a house, they have children, they have family members who depend on them. But still, you can create your life. I heard of so many coworkers when I quit, oh my God, I wish I could do the same. And of course, some of them had responsibilities, some of them hadn't. And still, they wish for something, but they don't take a step towards it. So if I can just encourage one other person to walk one step closer towards their goal, this would mean a lot to me.
Very, very cool. Dorothea, I appreciate you so much for joining me on here and sharing some of your story. And I trust that some people listening to this will be inspired and do just that and take some action. Take one small step towards making this big world feel smaller, is what I would say, is based on the name of the show here. But anyway, thank you so much. I wish you continued marvelous adventures, and hopefully look forward to seeing you here in Thailand pretty soon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it would be so nice.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your journeys, and I'll talk to you real soon. All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You too. Bye-bye.
I trust you enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you're enjoying the Big World Made Small podcast, please take a moment to tell the algorithm by subscribing and posting a review so that others can benefit as well. I also invite you to take a quick trip over to bigworldmadesmall.com and join our private adventure travel community to receive new episode notifications, special access to our guest experts, and perhaps even some exclusive partner offers that we haven't discussed on the podcast. I'll publish another episode soon. Until then, keep exploring. It's the best way to make a big world feel just a bit smaller.